We have to talk about your food income in the Farthest Frontier 1.0. And if you are thinking right now, wait a minute, Mo, haven't you already done 2 videos about food? Well, yeah, but that was about the early to early mid game of food acquiring. And now this time we are talking about the mid to Endgame, because believe it or not, Farthest Frontier is actually a game where your food acquisition is changing quite a bit the more people you have to feed. At the beginning, we already talked about this. It's completely enough if you have some hunters, some foragers around here, right, collecting your stuff. And last but not least, if you have the ability to fish, then you're putting down some fishing shacks and you can actually feed your population. But at around, I would say, 100 people, those means of food production are not enough anymore. And a lot of people are struggling to realize, okay, what do I have to do here? What are the best options? And how do I do this effectively? So, with that said, let's jump right into it. And before we talk about food, we have to talk about your population. You can see that I have 158 people living in my city right now. And I see a lot of people thinking that this is also their workforce. It is not. It is literally the amount of people who are living there, but not the people who are working for you. You can see that right here, that when you are looking down in the last area, fit to work, I have only 102 people. The rest is seniors or children. And why does that matter? Because I see people just increasing their village over and over, building more huts, letting more people in, even though they already have a lot of workers and a lot of mouth to feed. And that is really important because a kid is eating less than an adult. A kid eats around six. The maximum of food they are needing is six, or they can have is six, while an adult can have up to 10 food. This one has only 8, but 10 is the highest they can get. So the moment those children become adults, yes, they are also entering your workforce, so you didn't need to get that many new people in. And B, they are eating much, much more. They have 50 people waiting to basically eat double the amount or nearly double the amount of food they have eaten before. And then I see a lot of food production just utterly collapse. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Also, very important, make sure that your people have the tools and the education, and that they have baskets. That also increases how fast they can, well, not just get food, but harvest other things, right? And how efficient they are. So make sure that those numbers are high. On this save file, I'm basically just starting to increase those numbers, but that is also something you have to keep in mind. Another thing you should definitely do is make sure you have enough smokehouses. Like, you don't want to have meat or fish lying around and not getting smoked. That is one of the big pluses with meat, that you can smoke them. You can't do that for all the other food, right? So please get smokehouses, because you don't want to run out of meat anytime soon just because you didn't smoke them and one smokehouse was not enough. So have a look if there is meat lying around or fish lying around and it's not getting smoked. That's a waste. Don't do that. But with that said, now let's talk about how to change up your food production. So the first thing you want to do is you want to build fields. I know I said in another video that fields are noob traps, and that is true because I see a lot of people building fields in the first 1 to 3 years. That's far too early. You don't need them. But when you have around 100 people, this is really where you want to start to get the fields. And people are wondering, well, what's the food I should get for my fields? Like, what is efficient here? Personally, I do like to go with the good old beans and peas, because there are two reasons for that. First of all, they do not impact your fertility, which is really important if you want to switch around, and they give you a lot of resources, and they stay stored much longer than other crops. So they are perfect to fit the basic needs of your population. There is a bit of an issue though. They don't really have a good heat tolerance, especially the peas. So if you have some hot summers, peas are pretty ass, and you might actually want to get them in very early on instead of the middle here, as I do it. This is wrong. You don't really want to do that because, as I said, they don't tolerate heat at all. And so, yeah, make sure that you are getting those twos to get your people the basics. Now, the next thing is I see a lot of people asking, should I build big fields or should I build smaller fields and the multiple ones? Personally, after a lot of testing, I came to the conclusion that small fields are the way to go, because it's not because of the workers or anything, but it's because you have sometimes droughts, right? You have the possibility that there might be some infection or infections, not affections, infections are happening to your food. And when that happens to a huge field, well, you can basically forget the harvest for that year, and that's something you really don't want. If you have a lot of smaller fields, that doesn't necessarily affect you as much. If there's one field which is not giving you the crops you need, well, then you still have six others who do exactly that, right? So I do recommend to go with smaller fields instead, because it is much more secure. Also, as always, keep your fertility up, keep the weed and rockiness low. I like to have two compost yards next to my field, and then they can take care of that. Or even more if you have more people later on living in your city, of course. But that is the first thing I highly recommend. Now, that is not all. And to take a look at what you can do for your food income here, we have to take a look at the knowledge tree. So there are a few options you can go. This is, by the way, one of the save files where I haven't unlocked the grains yet, but that's not too important, and I will explain in a second why. So the first building I highly recommend to get. And the good news is you don't have to do that through the knowledge tree. I know it's their offerings here. And I do like to get, by the way, the sustainable farming and stuff, right? To make absolutely sure that your farms are running at the best option you can get. But what I recommend to build when you are unlocking tier 2 is build an arborist. Build two of them. Arborists are amazing because they don't need a lot. Yes, they need the initial building, right? But they only need two people to take care of it, and they only basically have to take care of the trees every 300 months, which is amazing. Now, with that said, there's a drawback to all of this, and this is that the trees need to mature. You can see it right here. My trees are not mature yet, and this is the third year I build this arborist. So it takes a while till they are growing. No, that doesn't mean you will not get any food till they are matured. You can see it right here. I'm already producing food, and that's fine. But keep in mind, it would take a while till they are running at 100%. Also, make sure that what you are planting here works with the rest of your food income. So I did choose the peaches because they are starting between June and August. And June and August is always the month for me which I have some food issues because, at the end of the year, I'm getting everything from my farms and I have the income from other resources, of course. But yeah, June and August is always where I struggle a little bit. So this is why I did choose the peaches. Make sure that you are choosing the right trees for what you need. But going back to the technology slash knowledge tree, there are a few things you can get. The first thing is the animal husbandry. A lot of people think, wow, animal husbandry, that's cool, right? Like you are getting chicken, which give you meat, they also give you eggs, or if you choosing the cows, you are getting so much more out of them. Animal husbandry is amazing. Yes, it is. It's unfortunately also super expensive because, as you can see right here, it's kind of funny. Um, I don't have any chicken because there is no way on how to get the animals beyond waiting for the right merchant. So you have to wait for the right merchant to appear so that you can buy the cows, that you can buy the chicken, and they are expensive. We are talking about like close to, like, chickens are relatively cheap. They're like 500, 400 a piece, while cows are like nearly to 1,000, depending on the merchant and all that, of course. But animals are expensive, and it would take quite a while before you even have animals here on your farms. And then you also have to take care of them. So keep that in mind. But you know what's even more expensive, so to speak? And for that, we are going back into the tree, and that is grain. Grain itself needs quite a bit of points. You can see that right here. You have to invest at least 3 points to get grain. 4 points, actually, if you want the grain then. And even if you have that, that's only the beginning, right? Let's not forget that. Grain is a tier 2 resource, but what you need is basically tier 2 end buildings. Yes, the bakery, not too much of a problem, right? That's pretty simple. And it's not too much of a big deal. Then, of course, you need the granary, also not a big deal. The biggest problem here, though, is actually the windmill. And the reason for that is the heavy tools. You can see the far right icon at the cost, which you need for that. How do you get the heavy tools? Well, again, be lucky to find a merchant and also have the money available, super duper expensive. Or, well, you can just get the heavy tools yourself. But what you need for that is you need mining, right? Then you need forging, and then you need smithing to get the heavy tools. That's a lot of points and a lot of stuff you need to unlock and build first before you can even think about that. So, grain and bread is amazing because bread can stay around for a long, long time, but it takes so much work to get that going that I don't really recommend grain at the beginning. The same with animal husbandry. Like, it is much better to focus on the fields you already have, and then, of course, well, focus on the arborist and get that going instead of trying to make this a reality super fast. Again, if you have the money, if you're lucky that the merchant is around, sure, go for animal husbandry. I'm actually just waiting for a merchant in this playthrough to get this going. If you already have a big mining operation going and you are already working on tons of stuff, sure, hey, get the grain going, right? It always depends a little bit on how you are playing, but in this playthrough in particular, those two options will take years before they are going online, and they are better things to get your population through the hard times. And yes, it is completely fine if you have only food for like 4 or 5 months. You are basically working on having the steady income of food instead of having huge chunks of food stored away. That's basically the idea behind all of this. With that said, if you still have some questions or ideas, let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like. And also, if you're new to the channel, you want to see more Farthest Frontier videos, which we already have on here, definitely make sure to subscribe. But we are also focusing on strategy, management, and building games on here, solely on the channel. So if that is your jam and you always want to check out some of the newest games, also want to get some guides on them, well, you came to the right channel. And it's definitely worth a sub, I hope. With that said, have a good one. Stay safe.